Hey everybody, Josh Peck here. I got something really cool for you today, something a little different. In the first part of the show, I'm going to play you an interview that I did with LA Marzulli about quantum computing and UFOs and a whole bunch of stuff. And then after that, in the members only section, I'm going to actually do a presentation for you that I'm working on for my upcoming conference at Prophecy Watchers conference in Orlando. That's at the end of this month, at the end of March. So I'm going to do that for members only. It's basically, I like doing that to get audience feedback. And I actually have two presentations. So in a different video, I'll probably do the second one. But anyway, so yeah, first, here is the interview with LA Marzulli. Check it out.
A friend of the show, a good friend of mine, Josh Peck. Josh, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's always good talking with you, and I'm excited to get into it today.
Absolutely. So, you're going to be at the Prophecy Watchers conference, and you've got two presentations that you're going to be giving. One of them is like way out of my pay grade, quantum computing. It's like, I'm not even sure how to spell quantum at this point. And the other one, of course, is on UFOs. Let's tackle the tough one first. What are you going to be talking about with this quantum computing stuff, and why is that relevant to the church today?
Oh, yeah, it's huge. And if the church sleeps on this, it's going to be the same as when the church sleeps on anything. Like, the reason that we have so much New Age practices in a lot of Christian churches, and they don't even know it, is because people slept on the New Age thing decades ago and thinking, oh, it's just a few hippies in Sedona. And now 99% of Christians have at least one New Age belief and don't realize that it's New Age. Well, it's the same deal with quantum computing, and we're going to have to... as Christians, we're going to have to keep an eye on this and keep track of where it's going, because the messaging is already so strange. So, the way that some scientists talk, they're talking as if that, they've been making some leaps and bounds in quantum computing. They, developed, like, Google has like a Willow chip, and there's another, Majorana chip that just got produced. And it's not going to be long. This surprised me. It's not going to be long before quantum computers are going to be mass produced. I thought for the longest time, we were decades away, because the thing about quantum computers is they're extremely fragile. Like because they're doing their processing like in the quantum realm, like with these little tiny particles. But any little jolt, any little shift in gravity, cosmic rays coming through, anything can mess it up. So I thought, okay, well, they have to house these things in these big facilities. It's going to be decades before this is going to be mass produced. Well, they just came out with this Majorana chip that can do it, and it's a lot more stable. Well, on top of that, and it's not just faster computers and stuff. It's like encryption is gone. People, if the wrong person gets their hands on it, people could get into your bank accounts and get into all sorts of stuff. So and there's no protections against it, not yet anyway. And I think if I remember right, one of the most recent reports I saw said that we're like 5, maybe 10 years away from actually being able to protect against this. But the technology is here now. The other part of it is a lot of scientists, a lot of these developers, they're describing it as if these quantum chips, like, they're working in the multiverse. They actually use the word multiverse, that they're pulling equations and answers from other universes and stuff. And I don't know about you, but I don't believe in the multiverse at all. Not the many worlds interpretation.
Yeah, I don't either. Sure.
Yeah. So for your viewers, if you're not familiar with the term, there's a couple different versions of what the multiverse is, but the most common one, usually you see this one in movies. It's every decision we make, it splits off into another universe. There's another universe out there where you made a different decision, and it's the same for everybody and everything. And so there's an infinite amount of universes. Some big problems with it. For one thing, it still wouldn't be infinite. Even if all of that were true, it would be a very large number, but it wouldn't be infinite. Infinite is it's not even real. Like, you can't even get your head around it, because it's not real in the practical sense. So it would be a lot, but it wouldn't be infinite. That's the first problem. But the second problem is that there's just zero evidence of it. The reason that this got developed, this whole multiverse idea got developed was to try to answer the fine-tuning argument that we Christians have, which is basically there must be a God because everything is finely tuned for the universe to exist and for us to exist. Like, a big one is like the moon is just perfect, right? A perfect size and the perfect space away to do the eclipse thing. So, but there's thousands of these. And so to get around it, scientists, in the 50s developed this multiverse idea. And it's like, well, it just so happens that there are an infinite number of universes where all those things are true and can exist. And we just happen to exist in one of them that do. It's completely anti-Christian, anti-biblical, anti-God. It's a way to try to get around, having to admit that there is a creator with all this evidence that we see. So now with quantum computing, it's just another thing where they're trying to wedge the multiverse in there and get this into people's heads. So this is why it's important as us as Christians to pay attention to not only the technology and what it can do, but the messaging around it. Because whenever it's presented to people, it's always through rose-colored glasses. They never tell you the dangers. They never tell you, one bad guy with a quantum computer can basically take down, entire governments and stuff. It's a really powerful stuff. Yeah, and they're now at a point where this could be mass-produced, and we might be working with quantum computers in the next couple of years. Who knows? Or at least it'll probably be really, really expensive when it first rolls out. So
sure, it always is. Yeah.
Yeah, but after a while, so it's just a totally different landscape. So we get technology that can get into any encryption instantly, but we have no protections against it for at least a few years. So the next few years are going to be interesting to see, how all that's going to work out. And I've done videos and stuff saying, is it possible that this could be the technology the Antichrist uses to take over everything? And I don't see why not.
I would say a resounding yes to that.
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell, that's my first presentation. And then just going through it, showing how the multiverse isn't real. It's used as a tool for basically anti-Christian scientists to just do whatever they want, and in a lot of different fields. And if they phrase it like that, they know that most of us are going to tune it out, because most of us don't know what quantum is, don't know what multiverse is. All the lay Christians will leave them alone because we don't understand what they're talking about. So that's why I've made it a big part of my ministry to try to explain in simpler terms what quantum science actually is, what it can do. It's actually a really beautiful thing, because if you think about it, this is the building blocks that God has used to create the entire universe. So studying the quantum stuff is super, super interesting, and just seeing how God used all these particles to make everything. One of the most fascinating ones, and I love this one. But string theory and quantum field theory, there are two different. They could go together, but they're two ways of kind of looking at the universe. But basically, they say that what a particle is it's a vibration. It's energy, really. It's not like a particle is a little tiny piece of matter. It's really a vibration, but scientists don't know where the vibration comes from. They don't know where that energy comes from. They'll say, if you can get one to even admit this, they'll say, well, it's got to be something from outside of our physical reality. Wow. And that's usually as far as they take it.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know what it is, because it says the voice of God created everything and sustains everything, holds everything together. Right. So that vibration, I believe the literal voice of God from back in eternity when he said, let there be, I think that's reverberating out through every point in time. God's outside of time. He created time. So he sees all points of time at once. And his voice literally at every moment in time for every particle is causing that vibration, causing that particle to come into existence. And that to me is beautiful and amazing and mind-blowing. And I found that out about 10 years ago, and still it amazes me. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be talking about with the first presentation.
He spoke everything. He holds all things together. Collage.
Yes.
I mean, it's outrageous. How does CERN, well, let me back up before I get into CERN.
Sure.
So let's say they come out with this quantum computer, and you and I go buy one. You have one and I have one. And how would this change, because we're both editors, how would this change Final Cut Pro? How would that work?
Well, it would be a lot faster. That'd be one thing. We wouldn't have render times anymore. With stuff like video editing, we would still have, well, it depends if they integrate AI into it. So artificial intelligence and quantum computing are two different things. But if they likely would put AI into it, and it would make AI way more powerful than it is now. So you could probably, in that case, you could take your raw file, put it into Final Cut and say, just look at everything that I've already edited, learn the patterns, and edit it for me. And with a click of a button, it'd be done. And it would be done instantly. Yeah. So good thing that was it.
Let's get one quick.
Right? Yeah, we'll save a ton of time. And it's a good thing that we work in ministry, because as video editors, we'd be out of a job at that point. So, because I think that's the thing that I think is really going to change the world. Like, it's going to be and I don't know how long it's going to take for this to really seep down into the consumer grade stuff, but there's going to be a time where you don't have to wait to watch a movie anymore. You could just type the prompt and say, hey, I want a movie where the Fantastic Four are fighting Spider-Man or whatever. And it'll create an entire movie immediately that you can watch. And then you can give it other prompts and say, well, I don't like this part, change that part. Well, now there's two different versions of it. People are going to be posting their prompted movies online. I think that's the future of like entertainment. It's just going to be AI and possibly integrated with quantum computers, just generating.
So let me stop you. There's all sorts of stuff going on now. On the net, on X, and all sorts of places where some guy types in AI, hey, show me what happened back in Egypt 3,000 years ago, and they got giants building pyramids and giants lifting blocks. I mean, you can watch it on X. It's unbelievable. You go back 10 years ago, none of that existed. Now AI creates it. We haven't used it yet. I'm like, and this is my next question. There's a line in the sand here. And I talked about this at the last conference with, and I show this woman, attractive gal. She's like early 30s, really articulate, really pretty. And it doesn't matter what she's talking about. She could be talking about the greatest recipe for eggplant parmesan or quantum computing. Doesn't matter. And I let it run for about a minute. And this is over a year old now. And then I look at the audience and I go, what you watched is 100% fabrication. She's not real. She's not real. And everybody gasps and go, oh my gosh. Do you think, this is the question, do you think that that's the line in the sand that, because you can't tell what's real anymore. He's got to come back. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think because right now AI has, and yeah, that definitely is a line. The world's already changing. There's already fake stuff out there. And it goes even further than just deceptively editing stuff, because now it's generating.
Right.
Yeah, but right now AI has a big limitation. It can't really create anything new. Like, it can't think like that. It's got to take what it can from the internet. So a really good test of this is you can go on ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, and if you try to tell it to make you a picture. I don't know if it still does this, but even just a few days ago it did. It make you a picture of a full glass of wine all the way to the brim. It can't do it. It only does half glasses of wine, because on the internet, whenever you see glasses of wine, they're always half filled. None of them are filled all the way to the brim. So it can do a lot of amazing things, but as of right now, it can't think and generate like that. But you put that into quantum computing, boom. And I think that's really the line. Like, when they mix artificial intelligence with quantum computing, and artificial intelligence doesn't have that limitation anymore, and it can actually start thinking and creating and not just piecing things together that it finds on the internet. I think that's when things are really, really going to change. And I don't think we're far. If it's months, I'd be surprised.
Wow. Well, you got to keep us abreast of this. I know a lot of my listeners aren't, savvy with any of this, and frankly, I'm not either. I mean, I've been watching AI, and I've called it that's a line of demarcation. That's a line in the sand. So I did this thing on CERN over a year ago, and it went viral. We got the last time I looked, I was 2.4 million hits. It's just just for this little 60-second blurb. And you and I talked. We did a show on it, where, the Temple of Apollo was excavated. It did stop. I mean, we're not making this up. It did stop the building of CERN. Why is it there? Is that just a coincidence? Why is the god Shiva, doing its little goofy dance? And I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes. And why did one of the heads of CERN state, well, when we open up this thing, we're not sure what might come through. It's like, so walk us through that. Let's start with the archaeological evidence and then move into the Shiva thing, and then finally wind up with, what are we looking at here? I mean, what does this thing really do?
Well, I think, really, so starting with the archaeological stuff. So there's a history to that area. You could say it's like, it seems like it's demonically charged because they worshiped Apollo there, false god, obviously. Apollyon comes out of the abyss, it's just, there's so many connections here. So I believe that the enemy is influencing people to make these decisions. I think there probably are a few, probably up at the top, that know exactly what they're doing. But I think 99% of the scientists that work at CERN, they're just doing
just rank and file. They're just doing their jobs. It's compartmentalized. They're doing their jobs, but they don't have the whole over. Oh, one more thing I need you to weigh in on with CERN. And, people can poo-poo this. You can go and you can watch the ceremony for yourself. A guy in a goat's head suit, looking like Pan, doing his whole deal. What the flip is that about? Your thoughts?
These people are totally demonically infused, whether they know it or not. I mean, and I think it's because they've been opening themselves up to this kind of stuff. And so I do believe that there's probably some people at the higher up that really do want to open a portal to try to speak with extra dimensional entities and to commune with them. And really, when you look at it, this is just prayer, the same prayer and veneration of false gods that people have been doing for millennia around.
Basically, I agree.
They all call it that. They'll use words like, and again, like we talked about before, you got to pay close attention to how they phrase things. They'll use words like extra dimensional intelligences, and we're gonna, when people hear that, their brain shuts down because it sounds too complicated. But when you think of extra dimensional intelligences, all that means is a conscious being that is from somewhere else, that's not from our physical reality. Well, that's angels and demons and stuff.
Exactly.
So, and the only people that they're actually going to be able to talk to if they do make contact with anything, it's going to be the fallen ones. God's holy angels aren't going to participate in that. We're forbidden against doing that exact kind of stuff. So whether they can put all the science veneer that they want on it, but this really it's sorcery and witchcraft and stuff. With the way that they're using it. Now, if they were only using CERN to just look at particles, do some particle collisions, see how nature runs, that's all they were doing, I wouldn't have any problem with it. That part of it is actually really interesting. But then you got those people like you mentioned Sergio Bertolucci who said, that's just something else might come through. Yeah, and it's, well, if that's your goal, and that's been on their top to-do list for like a decade now, maybe probably longer. They've done. I actually have a copy of it on my computer. Nova did like a PBS documentary thing with Brian Greene. And one of the things, he's a physicist, one of the things they talked about was how you could set up a communication system at CERN. You just need to take a string of gravitons, because gravitons, they haven't been discovered yet that we know of, but the mathematics predicts that gravitons can naturally flow between dimensions. So they naturally can go into higher dimensions. And which higher dimensions have already pretty much been proven because the universe is expanding. It needs something to expand into. Well, like gravity. They keep saying gravity is just curvature. It is, but for that curve to happen, there needs to be at least a fourth spatial dimension, a fourth dimension of space for it to curve into. So like if you have a flat sheet of paper that's two-dimensional, well, you can curve it, but you can only do that if you have a third dimension to curve it into.
You mentioned Sergio Bertolucci. Is that a direct quote? I mean, can we, because people go, oh, he's just making that up. He really didn't say that. Did he actually say that?
Yeah, he actually used the words unknown unknowns. I don't have like right in front of me. I don't have the exact quote, but people can look it up. But yeah, I have the direct quote in Abaddon Ascending, which I don't think is in print anymore. But I have the quote somewhere. But yeah, he referred to them as unknown unknowns, like might come through or something along those lines. But yeah, he definitely said it. He's not the only one. There haven't been many. A lot of CERN scientists don't really get into the mysterious kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, he absolutely said it. And to me, I immediately thought Revelation 9, what if they do make contact?
And something comes through. I mean, and how do they stop it? Right.
Yeah, and they won't be able to. Yeah.
No, I want to go back again into that dedication. I mean, when I saw that, I just went, what are these people doing? I mean, it's kind of like the halftime at Super Bowl where Katy Perry comes, no offense to the Super Bowl, no offense to Katy Perry. God bless you, Katy, if you're watching this. But, you're riding a beast coming into a Super Bowl. For those of us who study the book of Revelation, we're not saying you're the woman that rides a beast, but that's the imagery. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's the imagery. So
exactly,
taking that thought and translating it over to CERN, I mean, why is this guy dressed up like Pan with a goat's head, I believe? The horns, the whole deal. I mean, where does this, why, who orchestrated this thing? Do you know? I mean, who created this thing and why?
I have no idea who actually organized the whole thing, but yeah, clearly whoever did or whatever group of people did, they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah. So
they didn't accidentally stumble into all of this demonic imagery. They know exactly what they're doing. There are people that take the CERN stuff so seriously that they do, in a way, create a religion around it. There's not many of them. Again, like I said, 99% of the scientists don't have anything to do with this stuff, but there's enough people there and that are involved with it, or just even in the area that they're so demonically charged because they've opened themselves up to this. They love it and they want to celebrate all this garbage. And it's like, man, what strange symbolism for what is supposed to be a scientific.
Yeah, what are we looking at here? Why? I mean, when I saw that, literally, I mean, I just went, what are these people doing? Why are they engaging in something which is blatantly occult? I mean, you can tap dance around that and call us conspiracy theories. Well, you tell me what we're looking at. I mean, this is deliberate. I want to go from there. Two things. We're going to talk about Katy Perry and the film that she did, or the video that she did with Kanye West, which, if you're going to watch it, mute the Kanye West part out. But he opens it up. I've got a dirty mind. I've got, evil ways, whatever he says. And then it cuts to Katy Perry. And, she's singing the song, and it's about being abducted, really is what it's about. And, you're so, and she's talking about the ET and having, basically having an affair with this thing. And at the end of the film, it only, at the end of the video, it only shows her from the waist up through the whole video. And then finally, she reaches down to this robot and she resurrects this guy in some sort of a robotic suit. Folks, if you haven't seen this yet and you're my age, 74, 75, your grandkids have watched it. So you need to see what's going on. Just like Josh was talking about the way the New Age crept into the church, and it's like, oh yeah, Christian yoga. It's like, no, that's an oxymoron. You can't have Christian yoga. I did a show on this the other day. Just like, give me a break. But I digress. So at the end, she's wearing this long robe type thing, and the robe falls, and there's no nudity, but you see that she's not fully human. From the waist up, she's human, but from the waist down, she has the legs of a fawn, a deer. And that's what it leaves you with, which in my opinion, this goes back into CERN, with this is blatantly an occult ritual on some level. These images, someone is crafting this. It's very, very deliberate. Then and this is the question. Then we get Jesus. I'm setting it up, but Jesus says, be like the days of Noah. And we know from your research, my research, Ken Johnson's research, mixing of the genes, Book of Enoch, sitting against the animal kingdoms, creating chimeras, Greek mythos might not be mythos. It might be the real deal. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts?
Going back to the quantum computing thing, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I just remembered this. Another area of research that I want to use quantum computing in is in DNA and in anything having to do with that. They want to completely open up the DNA and understand everything about life in itself. And with quantum computing, they can do that because
that's the line. That's the line.
And they'll be able to literally 3D print, create anything. And any technology that we don't have to do it, the quantum computer will be able to tell them how to make it. Because again, it won't have that limitation that that AI has today. Like AI can't like create a cure for cancer or anything yet, but if you integrate that with quantum computing, and now it doesn't have to move through traditional computing systems, which basically, like if a computer wants to solve a problem, it's got to go through options one at a time to see what's the right one. A quantum computer can do them all at once and find out what the right one is. It's like in okay, so the first part, when you first walk into my house, there's 3 light switches on the right side. And I always forget, there's one that does the living room, there's one that does the porch light, and then there's one that doesn't do anything at all. And I always switch. So what I do, instead of going through each option one at a time, I just turn them all off or turn them all on or turn them all off. That's what a quantum computer can do, but it could do that with billions and trillions of options. It can just check all of them at once and see which one. So if you wanted to give it a prompt and say, I want to create like a chimera or like a centaur or something like you mentioned in the music video.
Right.
Well, even if it doesn't know how to do that yet, it can go through all the possible options at once and instantly just know how to do it, and it would be able to do it. So that is horrifying, because imagine there's no limits now. But like once they integrate AI with quantum computing, there's no limits on what kind of living thing could be created. And man, you talk about people that think they're God. It's going to get nuts in the next few years, I think.
And this is why he's got to come back. I mean, I get it. You know, people like 125 years ago, oh, you know, people are never supposed to fly. This is against God's will. Okay, I mean, I get that. And, you know, we're all flying around or to and fro over the face of the earth. This is a whole different deal. This is literally playing God is what this is. And this is why he's got to come back. So your second topic is on the whole UFO phenomenon. So what specifically are you going to be drilling down into?
Well, in that one, I always thought it was interesting. If you trace back major events in Israel's history, you actually find they coincide with major events in UFO history.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and so I actually for the first time ever, I'll announce it on your show. I got a new book coming out. Hopefully it'll be ready by the time of the conference. It's called The Final Catalyst. And in that, supernatural signs of the end times. But in that, I go through several different things of just where we are today and how it's really showing that the tide is super short. And the UFO phenomenon is one of them. And I use that coinciding with Israel's history to show this is not just random aliens from another planet visiting us, because why on earth would they coordinate all of their actions to this little tiny insignificant country on this planet? Would we do that? If we went and found, you know, let's say there was like life on Mars, would we like map out their countries and just pick one random little one? And okay, every time something significant happened here, let's crash a UFO, or let's have a big UFO sighting or something. Like, nobody would do that. But if the Bible is true, and if Israel is actually as significant as the Bible says,
yes,
and if God does have an enemy like Satan, and then it all makes perfect sense. All these UFO sightings are clearly demonic. Everything they do, I don't think, is on accident. The crashes definitely happen, but I think that it's entirely possible they're making that happen.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Technology with us. It's the same thing that we saw in the book of the Enoch when the 200 bulls came down. They said, yep, they brought weapons and technology and things to humans. They're doing the same thing today. It's just under a different veneer. Now it's aliens, you know, instead of what it was in the book of Enoch. But people are believing the lie. And I think that Israel thing is something, that connection is something that we can use to show people, like, look, this isn't aliens. They wouldn't do this. Like, it doesn't make any sense unless it's demons. So that's, by and large, that's what my ass.
That's fantastic. You know, just adding to that, 1945, you get Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's a huge deal. 1947, you get the Roswell crash. And folks, here you go.
Yeah.
There's a piece of the wreckage from a debris field. I want to thank a friend of our show and what we do here, Chuck Sikowski. Chuck found this at the debris site. We went to the debris site. Shameless plug, Josh. But here's another shot of it right there. That's a piece from a debris field. We have had it tested, and it's an unknown aluminum alloy. So 45 Hiroshima, 47, you get the Roswell crash, and it's the reason why Roswell is the 509th Bombing Group, which dropped Nagasaki and Hiroshima, is stationed at Roswell. 48, 1940, and I'll be talking about this I'm kind of, now I'm interviewing myself. Sorry, Josh.
No, go for it.
But in 1948, Israel becomes a nation, and the whole UFO phenomena, as we know it, takes off. We get cattle mutilations, we get the abductions, we get crop circles, the flyby over D.C., Eisenhower making the deal at Holloman, allegedly. I think he did. Maybe we'll find out. But I agree, Josh. 1948, the whole phenomena just explodes. So anyway, I'll give you the last word. I can't wait to see you at the Prophecy Watchers Conference. And we got to have you back on when the book comes out to talk about that. Definitely do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do. Well, yeah, the main thing to leave people with is just, pay attention to this kind of stuff. Pay attention to how things are phrased, and don't immediately turn your brain off when the scientist uses big words, because they want you to do that. That's why they talk like that. Not all of them do. There's a couple that speak a little bit more plainly, and they're more popular because of that. But even them, watch the messaging, watch what's going on, keep your eyes on it. Don't just shut down, because again, if we do that, if we ignore this stuff, it's going to creep into the church. It's going to deceive people, because it's the same thing that happened with the New Age movement. That's why there's so much New Age in the Christian church. And a lot of people, you might be your first time hearing that. You might be like, what are you talking about? Well, I do write about that in my new book. I have blogs. I got videos on it. LA's got a bunch of them too. It's actually how I came to learn all this stuff. And I got out of New Age because of LA's excellent work and stuff. But this stuff destroys people. And if we ignore it, we're allowing it to destroy people, and we're complicit in it. So don't be on the fence. That's where the enemy wants you. The enemy can use you best if you're on the fence and just don't pay attention to this stuff. So tell your friends about it. Let's get the word out. But thank you for having me on, LA.
Oh, it's a pleasure. We'll have you back as soon as you get the new book out. How do people find you? How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, my main website is dailyrenegade.com, and also I work with Prophecy Watchers now, so make sure you go to prophecywatchers.com. That's the best place if anybody wants to get any of my books or anything like that.
Well, Josh, thanks for coming on, folks. Before I go, rungsofdisclosure.com, rungsofdisclosure.com, lamarzulli.net, 30 films, 14 books, and growing. So check out Josh's site, check out our site. Josh, see you at the end of March. It's going to be a hoot, and God bless you, sure. Thanks for coming on.
Yep, God bless you too. See you later.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that. All right. So let's, like I said, for members only, I'm going to do the presentation that it's basically a rough draft right now, but I like getting feedback from people. So I'm going to do that presentation. If you would like to view that, head on over to dailyrenegade.com, get a membership, and you can get the whole video there. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the first half of this episode of the Sharpening Report. If you are a Bible-believing Christian who opposes the kingdom of darkness trying to run the world right now, then you are a renegade to the satanic system. We here at Daily Renegade wear that badge proudly. So, if you're a renegade as well, and you want to see the rest of this video, head on over to dailyrenegade.com right now and get a membership today. Not only will you get the rest of this video, but you'll get our full catalog of Sharpening Report episodes and Daily Renegade update videos on topics such as Bible prophecy, science, technology, the Nephilim, aliens, and so much more. All of our episodes at Daily Renegade are early access, so as a member, you'll get the videos before anyone else does. Daily Renegade also offers videos not available anywhere else due to social media censorship. We also have a community page only for members where we can all fellowship together without fear of censorship. It's basically the best of Facebook and YouTube rolled into one without any of the garbage. Memberships are only $10 a month or $100 a year, and if you can do it, I suggest getting the $100 a year because it's cheaper in the long run, and essentially you get 2 months for free that way. So come join our family of renegades at dailyrenegade.com right now. The link is in the description below, and we'll see you there.